What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review of the latest episode of My Hero Academia Season 6. Another fucking phenomenal, brilliant episode of the anime. It appears twice, may have died. I don't think he is dead completely, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that, bro, but either way, man, this was an emotional episode, a phenomenal episode of the anime. As you guys also know, the dub of the anime has finally released this week, although something weird happened today. Now, I don't know about y'all, but at least for me, for the past seasons, for as long as I have been reviewing Hiroaka and I do the double reactions and everything, when I wake up on a Saturday morning when Hiroaka is airing, when the dub is also airing at the same time, when I wake up, both the new episode from the Japanese is out as well as the dub episode of whatever episode they were currently on for that week. That did not happen this week. I woke up, the Japanese episode's up, but there's no sign of the dub. I look around, I check the tweet from Funimation, I check the tweet again from Crunchyroll. Nothing in the replies. I have not seen why there was a delay in the episode. The dude's already up by this point. But then, I kept waiting and I kept waiting. And then you guys will mention my reaction. It was already around noonish when I went to go and finally record the episode, and the dub was still in there. Now, I just checked again before I started recording the review, and they finally just released the dub episode. They finally put it out. I don't know why there was a delay, and I hope to God this isn't meaning that the anime, that the dub is not going to be airing at the usual time it's supposed to come out, like it's been for the previous seasons, and instead it's going to be coming out like around 12:30 or whatever. Hopefully that isn't the case, because I liked having them both when I woke up. Having both episodes, I could do the double reactions, get the dub out episode first and watch the Japanese episode, then do my review, and all is good, rather than having to wait till around the end of the day and finish off my review to finally watch the dub episode. Hopefully this was just some weird shit with this week. I mean, wouldn't surprise me. There's a lot of weird shit with Crunchyroll dubs of recently. You guys know what's going on with Mob Psycho 100, how Crunchyroll just hasn't advertised it at all. Not even mentioned that they're same day simul dubs and everything because of what happens with these dub VA. Hashtag Justin Meaning, bro. Come on. But yeah, there's been some weird shit with Crunchyroll's dubs recently with some of the two biggest animes of the season. But yeah, hopefully this isn't a sign that the dub is going to be airing at this time every week from now on. Hopefully this is just some weird fluke thing, and then next week the dub episode will already be out by the time I wake up like it's supposed to be, when Funimation was handling everything. But whatever the case may be, there's that. One other thing I want to talk about, guys, real quick before we jump right into the actual review, is that after I finished up the episode and I edited and I did my thing on my Mal and everything, I saw that the My Hero Academia hashtag was trending. I was like, fuck it, let's see what people are saying. And to my absolute shock, people were comparing the frames of the anime, clips of the anime, since now Twitter allows you to add videos and images in the same tweet, which is a great feature, by the way. And people are praising the anime. People are praising Bones did the scene justice. They did an amazing job. The OST, I'm like, what sorcery is this? This is not the Hiroaka fan, because y'all know, ever since season 4, these motherfuckers are some of the most obnoxious people. They've always been bitching and complaining, like, oh, this doesn't look like the manga, what the fuck? But nah, the Hiroaka fandom is actually praising Bones, not biting the hand that feeds them. Small golf clap for the Hiroaka fandom, ladies and gentlemen. Small golf clap. We are making progress. I'm sorry I did that. That just really shocked me when I saw multiple tweets as I was going through the hashtag of people just having manga panels with the anime and actually praising it. And actually saying that the anime did the scene justice. It was shocking, bro. It was absolutely shocking to see. But anyway, enough different chat. Let's just jump right into the actual episode, man. We start this episode off. We got the heroes sealing up all the different exits that they can get out of. After those are all sealed up, we go back over to the front lines of Kabanari, putting his wands in the sky for the bloodline. I think I mentioned this in my review last week, but it's honestly kind of funny and kind of cool and interesting that last week, Kaminari has this cool badass moment, and he's Kubo's favorite character, and it was 2 days before the Bleach anime return. I just thought that was so interesting and kind of cool. Interesting coincidence that Kaminari gets this big moment 2 days before the Bleach anime returns, and he is Kubo's favorite character. Anyway, so you got the badass dude that I mentioned before last season that I wish that. Honestly, love this dude. Love his design. He's so fucking cool. Trying to wondering what's going on with Kaminari's power set. But then it's when Edge Shot comes in and like kind of like splits his body kind of like into like the like little sharp little edges, I guess, and just kind of like goes like a zigzag pattern going through a bunch of the different criminals, and puts a little hole in their and puts a little hole in their lungs, basically enough to subdue them long enough. It'll heal up pretty quickly, but it's enough to subdue them. Then Midnight comes in there and does her thing. We see Comely Woods. He captures a bunch of the villains. Then we see Mudman and the Shroom Chick from season 5 do their thing to keep the villains, this group of villains contained, as the rest of the heroes charge into the building. While that's going on, we then see one of the guards coming into like the basement of the hideout where Reed Destro is holding a meeting. And bro, Reed Destro looks as happy as a clam, man. He looks so happy to be there, man. He's like, bro, you thought this man had a good day. He woke up nice and early. He woke up refreshed. You know this man had a good day today up to this point. And so even as he's telling him that, hey, even though as he's telling him that the heroes have invaded, he still isn't reacting. And even after you can start hearing the ground above them start to shake and rumble housing from all the attacks going on, still doesn't react. And it wasn't until he said, "We're surrounded," that Reed Destro finally reacts. I just thought that was funny. So then that's when we head over back to Twice and Hawks. And Twice says, "What?" And we find out that he is in a very compromising position, as Hawks has a bunch of his arrows surrounding him, as the dude's literally like on his like back with like his torso and the rest of his body like kind of upward in a somewhat kind of like circle, kind of like the dude's doing like a half spin dash or something kind of thing he's doing before the episode card comes up, which, as you guys know, is One's Justice, which is the same title of the Hero Aka games, which if you guys watched my reaction for last week, I thought that was kind of funny that they basically just ripped off the title of the games for the anime. Which, as you guys have been noticing for these last couple of reviews, I've been using My Hero Academia One's Justice footage, or One Justice 2's footage for these reviews. Yeah, I found out recently. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my reviews for the the first two Hero Aka movies, as well for the season 5 OVAs. That I found out that One's Justice 2 got a demo, so I played it, got a bunch of footage for you guys for the review. So yeah, hope you guys are enjoying the footage. And it's glad to finally have some Hero Aka footage to use for my Hero Aka reviews rather than just using AOT footage or Spyro PS4 footage. It's nice to have something that kind of goes right with the anime I'm talking about. Anyway, so after that, we're back. He told them that the time of the day of the attacker code. He then uses a couple of feathers to like take off the little like transmitter that I think Skeptic put on him, because we come right back to Skeptic. He's like in the control room, and two of the cameras go out. He's like, not very pleased with that. So as I mentioned before, he wants to the operation this time was to imitate with numbers, and he didn't want to give them enough. He didn't want to give Twice with his double quirk any extra times, because obviously we know if he had time, this operation probably would have gone down completely differently if he actually had time to like double up his powers and everything. So the whole time as Hawks is talking, Twice is like, "Hey," he's like trying to speak, but but Hawks is not at all listening at all. He says, "I need to keep an eye on you." And then we get a couple flashbacks back first to from what we had in the first episode when Hawks and Twice were talking, and then we get this epic shot of Hawks completely in shadow, more or less. Dude looks like a straight up villain. Which we'll talk more of, but there's something I want to talk about that when we get to a little bit later on the episode that I want to talk about when it comes to how Hawks was represented in this episode, kind of like how he was shot and everything. But the lighting in here looks incredible, man. You basically only see his eye, man. It looks horrifying. It's fucking awesome. So he's like, "Oh, it's totally natural, right?" And so, like I said, Twice keeps trying to talk, but Hawks doesn't let him. And he tells him to not put up a fight. That he'll restrain him and hand him over to the police, and that he doesn't want to fight. That's when we get flashbacks back to season 4, when of course Overhaul took out Mag, and of course got rid of one of Compress's arms. So he's obviously having flashback to that and realizing that he's fucked up like basically twice now. First with Overhaul, which a part of me low-key wishes that Horikoshi found some way to keep Overhaul in the story, or at the very least not completely get rid of his arms. You know what I mean? Because Overhaul was such an amazing villain. I kind of wish he came back, but whatever the case may be. We get more flashbacks. We get flashback to season 4 as Hawks, as Twice realizes that he was the one that brought in Overhaul, and that he's blaming himself for what's been going on with his friends in the league, and of course that's happening again because he believed and trusted Hawks and brought him into the fold. So So after we get more flashbacks to the first episode where he asked him about like, hey, you're a hero, you know so much Liberation Front, why is that? He's like, oh, because I relate. Then Twice says, I thought I just had to trust you. Then we get another flashback to, I think this was season 3, when Twice meets up with the old guy that they ended up rescuing in season 5. I think this might have been season 3. This might have been season 5, but I'm pretty sure this was season 3 at the end of it once we first really start to get in to figure out Twice's backstory. I think. I could be wrong. This could be season 5. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Anyway, he tells him, this is when Twice asked him, what should a man at the end of his rope do? And he says, be trusted by comrades, and don't worry, there's a lot of people that are like you than you think. And Twice says, I thought if I didn't trust you, it'd be too sad. And by this point, Twice is straight up crying while all this is going down, and Hawk simply tells him, thanks. And he just tells him, you were just unlucky. And then we get another flashback once again. I believe this is season 3, although this could be season 5, when Twice was talking to one of his doubles and saying, did I make a mistake? If you did, then that means that you were just born without any luck. Another flashback to, I believe, the first episode of season 6, when they said, hey, let's fly together wherever we want. And Hawks tells him that he should atone for his crimes and start over. That Hawks will help him start over because he's a good person. And Twice tells him, shut up, is this what heroes do? Hawks tells him, like, stop, but Twice isn't done yet. He says, what does it even mean to start over? This is when he gets back up. One of Hawk's arrows, like, tears up half of his mask and tells him, I haven't cared about myself for so long. Hawks tells him again, I don't want to fight you. Twice tells him that's just convenient for you. Then we see a bunch of Twice's doubles all coming out basically right out of it. Looks like kind of out of his back. Looks honest. The shot itself looks pretty cool. And he says, my soul only exists for the sake of everyone else's happiness. It was a pretty badass episode. The cinematography in this episode, and of course the paneling from Horikoshi was fantastic here, man. Especially the shots of Hawks, man. Hawks looked so fucking cool here, man. Hey, that's amazing. So then that's when we head over back with Factum, Tamaki, and Dark Shadow, where we find out that all the main entrances that are above ground have all been sealed up. But because, as we know, there's an underground bunker or whatever the fuck you want to call it, underground area of the building. There's 5 more entrances that still need to be sealed up that Cementos can't take care of. So it's up to these 3 guys to, of course, take care of them. So First Tamaki turns into like a centaur and just takes out a bunch of the guys. Honestly, look pretty cool. And he says, sorry, please stay still for now. And then Fat Guy tells him, hey, that's cool, say it again. And Taka's like, no, just leave me alone. As Tokoyami goes downstairs and, of course, unleashes Ragnarok. Such a badass time. Such a badass move, man. Such a badass move. As Dark Shadow just starts going ham, this is when he meets up with Dark. This is when we finally see that shot from the trailers of Redestro, kind of like powering up. Looked honestly pretty cool. Also, we find out that apparently, I don't know if this was just something that was off screen. I missed it from season 5, or this was something that was maybe lightly mentioned in the manga that the anime just decided to just skip over, whether it was in season 5 or season 6. But Redestro has his legs back. Kind of, because you guys remember I don't even really remember how he ended up in the wheelchair. Did his legs get blown off or something? I don't know. I honestly remember. But you guys know that in season 5, the end of season 5, we saw him in a wheelchair. Well, we see him once again. He's standing, but we find out that he has these metal legs, which end up giving out on him as he's trying to hold back Dark Shadow. But he ends up just going through the wall, and then that's when Dark Shadow sees the rest of the underground area, and of course that's when he meets the big guy. Dark Shadow's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Runs right back to him, and then he tells him that there's something bad down there. He thinks he's talking about Redestro about being a match for Ragnarok. He says, nah, it's not that. There's a monster down there, which of course we know is the big guy. Honestly, I can't remember what his name was, but anyway. Factum tells him, don't worry about it. He only takes one from Shigaraki. Well, he doesn't say Shigaraki's name, but he says his mouth, but we know he's talking about Shigaraki, but of course, as we know, he's busy in a vat, powering up. He's in what are those, the Namekian tubes where Goku and Vegeta were in the Namek arc, as he was powering himself back up and get back to full health. So then Factum tells Tokoyami to get into his stomach. We see him, and we basically just see Tokoyami's basically been pushed into the center of his stomach. It looks completely ridiculous, man, but it's so funny, bro. It's like, hey, who would have thought I'd be a taxi? And so Tokoyami asks him where Hawks is. He tells him he doesn't know for sure, but most likely he's in the middle of the melee, which obviously he is. So then we then head over back to Twice and Hawks, where we see this giant sea of like just Twice clones above him, right in front of Hawks. He says, "This time I will take responsibility," and he starts attacking them. And we just see this amazing like close-up shot of Hawks. And seriously, oh my god! Shout out to the storyboard artists, Horikoshi, the animators, everybody this on the team, man. I love this episode, man. This episode was fucking incredible, man. And then Hawks quickly, easily makes quick work of all of these Twice clones by just having his arrow just bounce around and just taking them all out in like 1 or 2 hits. And Hawk says, "I'm impressed that you were able to you're able to create them so quickly. But since you're doubling them, they're not as durable. So most of them are going down, but some of them are surviving." And then we just see Twice. He's crying his eyes out. It's so fast, my eyes can't keep up with it. Then we see once again that amazing shot of Hawks that I saw manga panel for on Chibi's thumbnail, and of course we saw in the trailers. Hawk says, "If you come with me quietly, we could have done something. I did like you." And once again, another amazing shot from Hawk. Seriously, storyboard artist, Horikoshi, the cinematographer, if that's a thing in anime. Shout out to them all, man. God, this episode looked incredible, man. And this enrages Twice, and then Twice like gets like Dave makes doubles of basically the entire League of Villains. Says these are my only friends. Don't barge in like that. And also, once again, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but shout out to the voice actors, man. Hawks and Twice's VAs in particular, man. They both did an absolute spectacular job in this episode, man. I can't wait to hear this with the dubcast, man. That's gonna be awesome. So yeah, which I'm pretty sure that like we're on episode 3 now, and like all 3 of them are going to be getting double reactions, and I've been reacting them all back to. I'm very curious if this is like the record I've done for Hero Walk, where I've done double reactions for this many episodes in a row. Anyway, so then Hawk sends in more of his feathers, and just instantly gets rid of all those clones as well. So. And then then this is all as Twice will tell him, "You scummy bastard," blah 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 blah. As all while Hawks is just standing there, just letting his feathers do all the work. And he says, "Taking down villains as quickly as possible. Why do you think I do that? Because they are the most terrifying for heroes. From experience, I've seen those with strong wills won't lose consciousness." And so then that's when Hawks fight, and then Twice tries to charge for Hawks one last time, but Hawks instantly takes him out with the slash of his like feather sword thing. And since neither side will give up, all that's left is to kill, as he has both of his feather swords basically on Twice's neck. You all cannot be called heroes. It's always like this. Everyone abandons the down and out. And then he goes on about, of course, Toga gently, wrapping him up with his handkerchief back in season 4, and that probably will, and the second time that he's done this, and then all he wants to do is protect everyone's happiness. And he says, "I'll let them know." Right before he's about to kill him, right before he's going to go for the kill, Dobby comes in there and stops him. Now, there's one thing I wanted to talk about that this episode really showed up. That I want to mention that Chibi mentioned, and I want to say his first review of season 6. That's of the Horikoshi almost portraying the heroes as like villains, with the way how they've been shot, with the way they've been shown off in this season, which you mentioned, of course, with Miriko, and how menacing she came off in the first episode, as she's taking down all of those Nomus. But that really I think really sold this episode with Hawks, with the way he's been shot, predominantly in shadows, close of just his eyes, man. He looks very menacing, and he almost does come off like the villain in this episode, because we know of Twice's backstory. We know how bad of a life how much of a bad card he's been dealt in life, and how he just wants to protect his friends. And then, of course, we have Hawks trying to kill him. And I just think that's a really fascinating idea that Horikoshi's been kind of doing with season 6 so far, of like almost portraying the villains like the heroes, and the heroes like the villains. I think that's a cool concept, and I think this episode really showed that off in this episode with the interaction and the scene between Hawk and Twice. I thought that was really well done, with just how Hawks was just shot and just portrayed in this episode, man. And I think that really works with that, and I think that concept really works in this episode, man. Honestly, bro, I think Horikoshi Loki's a better writer than people like to give him credit for, if you ask me, man. But yeah, that's something Shibi mentioned in his first review that I thought really worked for this episode. And I wanted to bring that up for you guys, man, because I think that's a really cool concept for this episode. Anyway, so after Dabi like burns up a good chunk of the building, and like Twice and Hawks are both in the ground, first thing my man does is step on his face and breaks his glass. I'm like, bro, come on, why do you gotta break Hawks' glasses? Those are some badass looking glasses. That's just unnecessary. Also, we finally get to see what Hawk's shirt is, what he wears under his jacket. Now you gotta lie, pretty cool shirt, And so, as Dobby is sitting there with his foot on his face, arms laying atop of his knee, he says, "Oh, you didn't notice me, did you? You did get distracted while you were distracted by your emotions. You made a mistake, hero." And so then, like, he tells Twice, "Hey, you did nothing wrong, and that you can and that it's always the heroes are in the wrong." Right, and then he unleashes this huge flames on directly right on Hawks' face. Somehow, instead of his face getting completely burnt off, he manages to escape the flames with Twice Twice in hand. And so Hawks realizes that he's fucked because he can't really he's not as strong with burned wings. He's in a cramped space, and this is like literally like the worst possible outcome or matchup for him. He has hit the jackpot, as he says. And then Hawks is like, "Oh, you're acting like that you never trusted me from the start." And he says, "Yeah, I never did trust you from the start." And so he's like, "Oh, even though after I did so many dangerous and get tricks." And we of course get a flashback back to season 5 when Hawks met with Best Genius, which we still don't know what the fuck happened to him. Like literally, we are 3 episodes into season 6, and we still have no idea what has happened to Best Genius. Did he die? Did he let him live? What the fuck was in that fucking duffel bag he was carrying? Like, we still have no idea what happened to Best Genius. Horikoshi, come on, bro, tell me what happened to him already. Well, anyway, Hawks mentions that he has Dobby Twice basically subdued for the time being because he managed to avoid his organ but cut through his muscles and bones, so he can't really do much more in this weakened state. But somehow this man managed to get the sneak attack on Hawks by creating another one of his doubles that manages to hold him back as he grabs the handkerchief that Toga gave him. Don't know when this came to be. I guess it must have fell out of his pocket or something. He grabs it and starts running away and tells Dobby to burn him. And so he starts burning him Twice, and then he tags out with Dobby, which I thought was pretty cool, doing a little tag team action going on here. And then as Twice is leaving this room, going out to the outside, Hawks comes out of nowhere with this sword, and I'm like, bro, the Animans, they did my boy Hawks. You guys know how much I love Hawks, one of my favorite Hero characters, man, bro. They did my boy justice, bro. And then Dobby sees, he's like, what the hell? He must have gotten out with the flames, and then they went around. So as Hawks is about to go for the killing blow, Dobby says, Keigo Takami, which, as you guys know, is Hawks' actual real name. And this obviously distracts him long enough for Twice to get out of there, and obviously locks him back in with Dobby. He obviously asks him how he knows his name. Who is this guy? That's when we get back to Twice, and he's hyping himself up, protect everyone Twice. Don't just pay them back from accepting you for Cosmotron. So he sets out another one of his doubles, but then we get one of the coolest shots in the entire fucking series, man, where we see in the blue face. I need to know how this looked in the manga, bro. I need to see how this looked in the manga, because this is insane. Within the blue flames, we see Hawks with his sword, ready to strike down Twice, bro. Bro, it looked so fucking cool, bro. So fucking cool. Also, one other thing I gotta say, I almost forgot to mention this. Shoutouts to the composer. The OST in this episode was fantastic, especially during the sections which we see later in the episode with Toga, but also the section between Twice and and Hawks. Those sections in particular were amazing. Seriously, shout out to the composer, man. The new music we can get for season 6 has really some really great stuff, man. So then we see Toga and Mr. Compress both get captured by a hero, and they're obviously trying to get out of it, but they can't. And then that's when Twice's double comes in there like a wounded ghost face and just starts stabbing him in the back, literally telling him, "Let go, let go, let go." And I'm assuming he finally managed to kill him because the dude drops dead. Then Twice and Toga run away. Mr. Compressor's like, "Hell yeah, man, double to your heart's content." And that's when he says, "Sorry, I can't. This is all I can do to keep my own shape." And he describes this feeling of trying to keep his own shape, trying to keep his shape. Like when you're trying to hold in a shit. Interesting way to describe it, I guess. I mean, we could all kind of relate that. We've all had to hold in a shit at least once in our lives. So I guess I understand how Twice feels. Anyway, anyway, so he says that I've been dropped and rolled without concrete. That's my fault again. Hawks got us. I did it again. Sorry. And then he says Toga, and he starts trying to walk towards her, and he says it's my fault and your cute face is hurt again. And then he hands her handkerchief and says, "Here, you can have it back." And then right when Toga goes to ground him, that's when he really just starts to completely start deconstructing, man. We get a quick flashback to season 4 when she wrapped him back up, and then we see his body. Well, we see parts of his body. We don't see the full damage of his cord, but we see a shit ton of blood and Toga's actual handkerchief little bits away from where his hand is. It's true, and he says, "It's true in my life that I just keep failing and failing. I got tricked, lost a friend. I got tricked again, and it must have looked really pathetic and meaningless." And then we had basically one other shot of him where we see a bit of his hair covered in blood, with one half of his hair covered in blood, and just a shit ton of blood just leaking from the railing or wherever he is, from wherever his body is laying at the current moment. Honestly, look pretty crazy, man. So he says, "I can't double anymore." Like I said, this is when he really starts to deconstruct. Toga rushes in there, gives him a hug, tells him thanks for saving him, and he says, "I couldn't have asked for a better life. Die, Hawks. Why do you get to decide that I was unlucky? I was happy to be here." And then as we see the rest of Twice's double goo fall to the ground, the episode ends. Once again, the OST here, man, was fucking fantastic, man. Such an amazing scene, such an amazing episode, man. So then, like I said, the credits roll, and they actually changed up the ED a little bit, where we see that shot of Toga and Twice from season 4 before it transitions into just Toga, kind of in the fetal position, looking like she's probably crying, mourning the death of her friend. Seriously, man. Great shit all around. Also, one thing else I thought was pretty cool that the episode did was how they kind of faded Twice when they faded when Toga wrapped up Dabi right and faded right into when we see his actual body. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really nice touch that they did there, man. But yeah, this episode was fucking amazing, bro. Very emotional episode, man. Not gonna lie, this did tug on my heart just a little bit. I love Twice, man. I thought he was a great character, man. Kind of sucks that he's possibly dead, although I don't think he's dead completely. I don't know. I feel like that he might end up surviving this somehow. Although I wouldn't be surprised. This is because judging from his body, it looks like he is dead. But we'll have to wait and see next week, man. And next week looks like it's gonna be pretty crazy because we're gonna see more of Miriko, and we're gonna see Aizawa getting in on this action. And apparently, they say that he has an ace up his sleeve, and the episode's gonna be called Inheritance. So. Very interesting, man. Very interesting episode next week will be, man. Anyway, guys, that is where I'm going to end this review off. Overall, I give this episode a 10 out of 10, man. Phenomenal, great OST, great editing, great cinematography, great layouts, man. Everything. This whole episode just fired on all cylinders. It was fucking incredible. Shout out to everyone that worked on this episode at Studio Bones, man. Y'all did an amazing job. And yeah, not even fucking Hero Waka fandom could shit on this episode. They were even praising it, so rejoice! Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like it, if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my socials if you feel like it. Link, subscribe below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.